The New Orleans Saints are thinking about four of the sweetest words in sports: win and they're in. Welcome to the Saints Pregame Report here on Facebook Live, and thank you for joining me. I'm John DeShazier here at AT&T Stadium in Dallas, where the Saints, 10-1 and winners of 10 straight, take on the Cowboys, 6-5 and winners of 3 straight, here in a Thursday night tilt. Thursday Night Football on WVUE, our Fox affiliate back home in New Orleans, as well as WWL Radio AM 870. That'll be Deuce McAllister and Zach Strief on the call for all the locals back home. Now again, Saints have an opportunity to win a game and get into the playoffs. They clinch a playoff berth with a win here tonight against the Cowboys. And to add a little something else to that, the Saints, if they win tonight and the Carolina Panthers lose on Sunday, that means the Saints will clinch the NFC South Division title. That guarantees at least one home playoff game. So a lot of things on the line here for the Saints, and a lot of incentive for them to play well here against the Cowboys. How will they do so? Well, we know the Saints are riding the #1 offense in the NFL, 37.2 points per game, and they're scoring at a historic pace franchise-wise. However, the Cowboys only allowing 19.4 points a game. That's third fewest in the league, and they are the only team in the NFL that has not allowed an opponent to score 30 points this season. So strength versus strength from that standpoint. Who leads the Saints offense? Well, of course, Drew Brees, a guy who's having a phenomenal season at the age of 39, an MVP caliber season. 29 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. He's completing 76.2% of his passes. He's thrown for 3,135 yards. He is having an absolute all-star type season. And oh, by the way, he's only been sacked 10 times this season. Well, what does that mean for Dallas? Dallas has a fine defense. Obviously, they only allow the 19.4 points, but they also have 31 sacks led by DeMarcus Lawrence with 8.5. So they're obviously wanting to be able to get to Drew Brees, probably speed up his time clock, but we know, those of us who have seen Drew Brees this entire season, basically his entire career, very few things can throw the man off. So it'll be a nice strength versus strength in that category. What else have the Saints done well offensively? Well, they've run the ball extremely well. During the last 9 games, they're averaging 151 rushing yards per game, and they've totaled 17 rushing touchdowns. Those are phenomenal numbers, and they might need some of those numbers here tonight against the Cowboys, because again, the Cowboys only allow less than 95 yards per game rushing and only 3.7 yards per carry. So the Saints run game might have a huge effect in this game. One of the things that a couple of opponents have been able to do in the Saints pass game the last couple of games is take away Michael Thomas. Only 8 catches for 130 yards in those 2 games. However, the Saints have gone to other sources, whether it be Tre'Quan Smith, who caught 10 for 157 and a touchdown, or they've been able to go to Dan Arnold and Austin Carr, and also Tommy Lee Lewis and Keith Kirkwood, who all caught touchdowns on Thanksgiving Day against the Atlanta Falcons. So the Saints are able to turn it around and spread the wealth if Michael Thomas is a guy who's taken out of the mix a little bit by Dallas. And Dallas has a really good cornerback in Byron Jones, who is one of the guys that they might lock up on Michael Thomas one-on-one. Oh, by the way, Michael Thomas loves those kind of matchups. He's competitive as heck, so he'll enjoy that a whole lot. Defensively for the Saints, what do they want to do? Well, we go into this saying every week the Saints want to make the opponent one-dimensional. How do you do that? You take away the run with the best run defense in the NFL. 73.2 rush yards allowed per game by the Saints, only 3.6 yards per carry, and those are phenomenal numbers in themselves. However, Ezekiel Elliott, the running back for the Cowboys, leads the NFL with 1,074 rushing yards. He has 6 touchdowns on 217 carries. In the last 3 games during that winning streak by the Cowboys, he's been at his best. He's at 394 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns on 68 carries during those 3 games. So the Saints will have their work cut out for them in the run game of run defense tonight, because the Dallas Cowboys probably want to control that clock. One of the best things you can do offensively against the Saints is control the clock and hopefully keep the Saints offense on the sideline watching. So the Saints will have to do a magnificent job again in run defense if they want to shut down the Cowboys. Also added to the Cowboys, wide receiver Amari Cooper. He's only been with the team for 4 games. However, he leads them in receiving touchdowns with 3. He's got 349 receiving yards in those games, and he had a bust-out game against the Washington Redskins on Thanksgiving morning. So the Saints will have to match up with him. That'll be Marshawn Lattimore and Eli Apple. Those guys will probably draw the duty of matching up against Amari Cooper, and we'll see how that goes. We'll continue to monitor that as the game goes along. What else do you want to do if you're the Saints? Defensively, Dak Prescott, the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, only 13 touchdowns and 5 interceptions passing, but he's also run for 5 touchdowns this season. He's a threat, whether it be throwing or whether it be running. However, he's been sacked 38 times this season. Keep that in mind because the Saints pass rush has come along a lot of ways these last couple of weeks. 6 sacks against the Falcons on Thanksgiving. Cam Jordan leads the way with 8 sacks. There also is Sheldon Rankins with 7 sacks, and also the rookie Marcus Davenport, who's rounding back into form. He's got 4 sacks. So let's see if the Saints are able to contribute and add to that sack total that Dak Prescott has taken this season. Now again, I'm John DeShazier, so continue to stick and stay with us here, and also stay with us on NewOrleansSaints.com. We will be tweeting from the New Orleans Saints, from the New Orleans Saints handle at NewOrleansSaints.com, as well as myself, John DeShazier. I'll be tweeting during the game, so keep up with us and join us for the post-game show presented by Verizon. Myself, Caroline Gonzalez, and Mike Haas in the studio back in New Orleans. We'll continue to give you a full report. Stay on NewOrleansSaints.com for all the stats and some highlights as the game progresses, and we'll continue to keep you informed this Thursday night throughout with this game. And as usual, go Saints.